I feel like my best friend backstabbed me in a way that might be justified, and I don't know whether I should forgive. To start off, I'm a high-functioning autistic. I don't think my feelings work the way it does for most people. If what I do or say sounds stupid, I'm not saying being autistic excuses it, but please keep it in mind as a factor. Best friend has been my best friend since American high school, nearly 6 years. We get along, and for the longest time, despite our profound disagreements over politics/anime/art/girls/guns, etc., we never really fought. Girl is someone who said she knew me from elementary school in China, and contacted me a year and a half ago. Girl and I started talking and we matched quite well despite her being in China and I in the land of freedom. Because I've been a loser for 22 years, having been dumped by every girl I'd ever met, it felt good. Knowing I had an opportunity to get to China in January of 2023 due to something unrelated, I prepped myself for that day, getting in phone calls, showing her my face, doing my best to show her the unfiltered me to avoid the disappointment of the first time meeting. Unfortunately, it didn't work. Perhaps I was too pushy, I don't know, I suppressed the memory as it was cringy. Zoo date didn't go well, possibly because of me pointing out a masturbating monkey, but more likely because I simply wasn't the cool white boy she knew from Chinese elementary school. Following the date she only began making single-word replies, didn't want a second date, and so I followed the usual protocol for this and backed off. Friend had been hearing about girl this entire time, and as friend had wanted to pick up on his Chinese, I'd put him in contact with girl and some of my other friends. I noticed the way friend spoke about her, I know his type, and so I told him that if he and her wished to hook up, now that I was out of the picture, to go ahead. I vaguely remember him telling me that it wouldn't be honorable. Which pisses me off in retrospect. The condition I gave, however, was that he, under no circumstances, ever mentions her name around me. This is where I think my neurosis kicks in. The memory of girl to me, became like a painful, bloody wound to my ego. I've gotten quite sick and tired of the fact my game is utterly terrible, and while I keep going in with rejections in mind anyway, girl had been my farthest along attempt, and as a person, she'd been so nice, accepting, entertaining in the span of hours, charming, the full package. I don't think I could have done anything different, but that I'd failed yet again, hurt me, and I hated myself for it. Hence why I told him to not tell me about her. Over the next 6 months friend brought her up sporadically over texts and calls. How she was teaching him Chinese, that they were speaking daily, information I didn't wish to hear. I put my foot down in June telling him under no circumstance I wanted to hear about my kinda sort not really ex. This is around the time friend started telling me about Lei. According to him, Lei was the perfect girl for him, and he wanted my help with her. I know the language, he doesn't. He'd text me bits and pieces of their conversations, ask for help in Chinese nuance, what certain memes meant, how to get across his feelings better, that sort of deal. I could tell she was into it, so I just told him to just confess already and be done with it, but strangely he refused, telling me that it was too early. Last month, after getting rejected by my dream job and feeling down about it, I was talking to friend 2 over the phone when I got a stream of panicked messages from friend. I was busy but he seemed like he really needed me, so I respond. Apparently, Lei was coming onto him hard, and he needed me on the line desperately. And so I ring him up, and that's when he tells me that before he finalized, he needed to get my permission first. He revealed to me that Lei was the girl. For the past 6 months he'd been lying to me so I'd help him succeed with a girl where I'd failed. In the moment I couldn't process it, airily told him he never needed my permission since what happens between them isn't something for me to put my mouth into and to hurry up and confess already, then returned to my call with friend 2. Over the next 30 minutes the full weight of what happened shattered over my head like a watermelon. I stopped being able to talk coherently, told friend 2 I'm sorry but she had to go, and headed outside at 2 a.m. I lost my mind for a good deal of time, being more angry than I'd been in a long time. Frankly at that point I didn't care for girl, it's about him. Why did he have to lie? How could he do this to me? Why did he think trying to get my permission when he and she were at the precipice would absolve him in any way? Why not just tell me from the start? What was he thinking while getting my help? Had he been laughing at my stupidity and feeling superior all the while, or was he genuinely so dense he didn't see anything wrong with it? A while later he called me, and I thought I could speak, I still couldn't. My career was failing me, and now friend was failing me too. He told me in that call I probs should have realized lay equals girl in a joking tone of voice. He seemed to genuinely not understand why I felt so hurt. I told him I needed to be in a sounder state of mind to properly discuss, cut the call, then deleted all messages. Needless to say, I couldn't properly sleep that night, nor for some nights after. I wrote a letter detailing what I felt, sent it, and haven't responded to any messages since, as I simply could not fathom forgiving him so soon. It's been around a month or so. Unfortunately for me, he was my best friend, and I miss the guy. Yet, every time I think about him I'm reminded of how he lied to me. Am I being immature? Am I just making a mountain out of a molehill? I won't be any happier if he broke up with her. Maybe I am to think of friend in the terms of all the girls who've rejected me, to just accept that sometimes people don't work out and move on. He may just walk over my boundaries once more after all. Or perhaps it was on me for not making it clearer. Or that my boundaries were stupid to begin with. Give it to me straight, fellas, what's the music I ought to face? Comment. Look, dude, I get that you're hurting, but you need to hear this. Your so-called best friend straight up betrayed you. He lied to your face for months, pretending this girl he was into wasn't the same girl you were into. That's some shady shit right there. You're not being immature for feeling hurt and angry. This isn't a molehill, it's a freaking mountain. He disrespected your boundaries and used you for his own gain. That's not what a real friend does. You deserve better than this. Cut him out of your life. Surround yourself with people who actually respect and care about you. It's gonna be tough, but you'll be better off without him dragging you down. Don't waste your time trying to analyze what you could have done differently or if your boundaries were stupid. This is on him, not you. Focus on healing and moving forward. You deserve happiness and real friendships. Seems like your friend broke your trust big time by not being upfront about the girl he was pursuing. You're not immature for feeling hurt. If you miss the friendship and want to repair it, consider talking to him about how this all made you feel. But also be ready for the possibility that he may not understand or respect your feelings, and think about if that's a deal breaker for you. Story 2. My 21F partner, 24M, broke up with me while I was abroad. Should I still try to regain his trust? We were together for a bit less than half a year and everything was great, really the best relationship I ever had until a few weeks before I went abroad. I had to go to another country for 3 months for my studies, but he knew when he got to know me, and it only happens once. I have anxiety and several other psychological problems, and the closer the stay abroad was the more panicked I got and started to get toxic when we had discussions, for example accusing him that I am not important to him or he has more fun with others than with me, etc. He warned me several times that because of his hyper-independency it could happen that he will completely detach from me emotionally if I do this too often. About 2 weeks into my stay abroad we had a huge fight because I could have taken a flight home to visit him in the middle of the stay, but he had a vacation at his sister's home planned for a long time, and since he does not see her often he did not want to move/cancel that. I am a person who would do everything in order to see their partner if he was gone for so long, and would even come by plane to see me, and I was really stressed, so I freaked out. Instead of normally saying that I am disappointed, I accused him of not wanting to see me at all. After that he said he felt like he could not trust me anymore because I had promised not to become toxic anymore but did again and again. He then said he cannot influence his feeling anymore and would wait if anything changes for him, but he said he knew himself, and if it doesn't in 2 weeks, he would have to break up because then he knew it likely would be like this forever. I cried every day telling him how sorry I am and that I know that I am normally not like this and he should please try to believe me. It is due to my enormous stress and panic and it would not happen again. Because I told him the same over and over again, he said I should please stop talking about it and just give him time, and I agreed, but the next morning I eventually started again because I have severe fear of loss and abandonment and was so terrified as the days went by, and he did not even say he loves me anymore or anything. Then that morning he told me that it is over because I do not respect his boundaries and that it is too late because I have proven again that I am not trustworthy because I have started to talk about it again after saying I would not do it anymore. I then told him if it is a boundary I can promise not to do that, but he said I already did cross his boundaries again and it is too late. He then broke up with me on WhatsApp. I had a massive mental breakdown resulting in my even seeking therapy on my stay abroad. I already do at home. A few days later I asked him how he wants to go on and he says we could stay friends but he would give nobody a second try. When I told him I would work hard on myself, go to therapy and so on because the relationship meant a lot to me and it would be worth everything for me to fix it, He said that I would just try to convince him to give me another chance, and that would exactly prove his point again why it does not work out. I then told him I don't know if I can stay friends because I have strong feelings for him. He said he doesn't want to text for the next 2 weeks and that he is also suffering, but likes to keep things like that to himself and sort it out for himself instead of talking about it to others. And I told him to text again if he wants to. It has been almost 2 weeks and I am still completely broken. I feel like if we have had the chance to talk in person during all our discussions, it would not have happened. I am extremely bad at texting and I have a feeling that the distance is the problem why all of this happened. I also think that the breakup itself would have been different if we at least went on phone call or anything, but he did not call me, neither the day he broke up nor the days after. I know that after a relationship which has not been that long it would be best to let go, but he is really the best person I have ever met, and the time until about 2 weeks before I had to go abroad was really the most perfect and healthy relationship one could ever imagine. I still cannot comprehend how it went downhill so fast, but I know that most of it is my fault and I would do everything just to get another chance to show him that I am still the person he fell in love with and he can trust me and that I am really not like this normally. But I also fear if I stay friends with him I would just stay hoping for a second chance while having to witness him dating other people or whatsoever. I am going to visit my family for a week now, and after that I am going to be abroad for another 6 weeks. Should I still try to regain his trust? It just feels so off that all of this happened. I never would have thought that. Story 3. How do I move on with my partner and continue our relationship after they were hurtful in the past? I have come to a point in my life where I have done a lot of personal growth. In my past, growing up and especially through college, I had almost no self-respect and would let people walk all over me, family, bosses, and my partner. I definitely still struggle with self-worth, but I have done a much better job of sticking up for myself in my relationships. However, now that I have made this growth, it is hard for me to get over the way my partner treated me, mainly in college. We were not officially together the whole time in college, despite talking almost every day and seeing each other frequently, but either way she did not act like she respected me very much. She often used me for support and companionship and would blow me off if anything else came up. My time was not important to her, so I was often left waiting around for her to be free. I did not have the ability at the time to stand up for myself and tell her how I felt. I gave her every excuse I could think of in order to be okay with it, and I always thought patience was the answer. As a result, when I look back at that time I'm embarrassed by my inability to have self-respect, but I'm also hurt that she didn't respect me enough either and treated me. I know at this point I can't change anything that happened then, but we're at a point in our relationship where we are getting much more serious and I see myself being with her long term. I love her tremendously and we have a really strong relationship in a lot of ways. I'm just having trouble getting past this and looking towards the future with her. I still get upset about things she did years ago. I know it doesn't make sense, but since I've just recently made all this growth I wasn't aware of just how it was at the time. I just powered through and pushed down a lot of feelings. How can I work to move past these feelings and focus on our future together? I have told her how I felt, but I don't think she always understands, and it is like beating a dead horse at this point. Has anyone ever been hurt and moved on within the relationship? What made you finally drop the past issues? Comment. I think a lot depends on how she treats you now, and how she responded when you told her about your hurt feelings. What was the discussion like and what was her response? So you want to be with someone who has no respect for you and treats you like a doormat? The only way to gain self-respect in this situation is to dump the girlfriend and find someone who treats you better. If you don't do that, there is no salvaging your self-respect and dignity. The past is tricky, but if you want to move forward, you both gotta hash it out honestly, maybe even apologize for past mistakes. Then set new boundaries and expectations so history doesn't repeat itself. Good luck. This sounds like she never acknowledged your time was important. If you truly change, then she would change as well. For example, does she still waste your time? I used to have a rule with my dates: show up late, and I won't be there when you come over. Never make excuses for someone's careless behavior. It is a sign of disrespect when someone knowingly wastes your time. Secondly, all long-term relationships sets boundaries on their relationship. These are important for both parties so that one person doesn't become the doormat.